Hey, in today's video, I'm going to bring on one of my past customers that just recently bought a home here in Tampa. We're going to talk all about what it took for her to get that done, beginning to end. She's got a lot of great advice for those of you who are out there thinking about making the move to Tampa. So if you think that you might want to make the move to Tampa, then you don't want to miss this video. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning into my channel, Living in Tampa, where it's my goal to show you everything you need to know about eating, sleeping, playing, and living in the greater Tampa Bay area. If you could do me a big favor, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. It really does help me out. I would so appreciate it. As I said earlier, in today's video, I'm going to have one of my customers on. We're going to go over everything from beginning to end of how she started the process of making the move to Tampa. I know sometimes making a big move like this can be overwhelming, so I thought it might be helpful for you guys to get a firsthand account of how she made it happen. So let's get to it. So I've got Leah here with me today. She's one of my past customers that just moved here recently from out of state. I had the pleasure of working with her and her wife, and it was so much fun to help them find a place here in Florida. It was challenging, but it was fun. But Leah, having been through the process, I thought it would be nice to bring her on to my channel just to share with people who are out of state, who are still contemplating whether they should make the move, what they need to do to make the move, and all of those things, just to get a firsthand perspective about that from someone that's just recently done it. So Leah, thank you so much for being on my channel with me today. Welcome to the channel. And I'm just going to ask you some questions, and feel free to answer them however you see fit. And hopefully it'll be helpful to some of my viewers. So the first question I've got is, what made you decide to make the move here to Florida, to Tampa?
Yeah, so I think there was a lot of factors that went into us deciding to move. So we were kind of at a point in our lives where all these things were happening at the same time. Family stuff was wrapping up, school was wrapping up. We were at, a career crossroads, if you will. And then with just the market being really amenable to sellers, we thought, okay, school's done. We have these things coming up with our jobs, stuff going on with our family. This might be the best time for us to ever do a move like this. So that's kind of what prompted us to,
Gotcha.
take the lead.
Yeah, those all sound like great reasons. I'm sure those are a lot of the same reasons other people are planning to make the move. So once you wholeheartedly kind of committed to, hey, we're definitely moving, what were some of the steps that you took to kind of get the process started?
Well, when we decided that we wanted to do this, first of all, we freaked out. And, how do we tell our family? How do we tell our employers, right? So we thought a lot about what our overall goals were, kind of what we envisioned for our lives, what we wanted out of this change. So like those less, I think, I guess maybe tangible things, we wanted to be in warm weather, palm trees, we want to be near the beach, but we want to be close enough to go see family, visit the parks, do all the fun things that Florida has to offer, be outside year round, and be part of a vibrant community. So we just started to do a ton of research. We had spent some time down here in March, so we got a flavor for the area and we really liked it. So after that, we were like, let's start digging deeper into what Tampa Bay has. And we did look at some other areas in Florida, but it really was, the Tampa Bay area seemed to have everything we were looking for. So booming job market, great real estate market, great weather. Everyone was freaking out about hurricanes, and
Right.
that was one of the things that we had learned. To tend to be a little safer from hurricanes in this neck of the woods. So yeah, so we started doing a ton of research, YouTube, looking at what folks were posting on Facebook, people that had made the move from other states with their families. That information was really invaluable to us. So honestly, as much as you can tell from a distance, by doing research like that, we kind of narrowed in Tampa Bay area, and then built out I'd say a project plan, like a project timeline. And, when did we want to move? And then, you know, we worked backwards from there to figure out all the milestones and all the different things we'd have to do to be able to pull off a move by that date.
I like that. Yeah. Kind of picking the date and working backwards from there, because I do see a lot of people that, you know, call me initially when they're just kind of thinking about it. And, you know, like you said, you did all that research. Some people, they just get, you know, analysis paralysis, if you will. So they're just researching, researching. They never actually do anything, but they really want to. So, I mean, would you have any advice for that? Because it's hard to, I know you get caught up in all that. But then do you have any advice for just actually making the step forward?
Yeah. So, you know, I think that can easily, sorry, you can hear my dog barking in the back.
That's okay.
She's excited to move in Florida to move to Florida. So I think it can definitely get overwhelming, but I think just like anything in life, at some point you have to make a choice and commit to it and see it through. So I think that's my best advice. You know, give yourself a hard deadline that you need to make a decision, and then, you know, commit to it. So do all the research you can in that time, and then just make yourself commit. And then, you know, once you start down that path, you can always adapt and adjust it. But, you know, I think it's helpful for you, you know, to just not regret the path you didn't take. You just pick something and, you know, stick to it and see what happens. You can always adjust and change course if you need to.
That's great advice. Really good advice. So what were some of your major concerns with the move that you were kind of researching and thinking about?
I think for me, my two biggest thing was, you know, what are we going to do about our jobs, and where are we going to live while we try to find, you know, where our perfect home is going to be. So for me, I just started a job several months ago. It hadn't even been a full year, and I really loved my job. And I was nervous that we wouldn't be able to go remote. And then, you know, the same for my wife. She'd been with her place of employment for a very long time. So what was work going to look like? And we had all these things that we had to do simultaneously, you know, put our house on the market, figure out jobs, figure out where we were going to live. So as you can hear, so we have 2 dogs, and they're not exactly on the rental friendly list. So it was going to be difficult for us to do any kind of long-term lease situation. And I also didn't want to do a long-term lease, because I feel like having owned a home, I don't want to, you know, pay rent to someone else's mortgage. And I also just kind of feel like it feels a little non-committal to sign up for a year lease. And I wanted to make sure that if we were going to basically uproot our entire lives to move here, we were going to put ourselves in a more permanent situation, so that we were forced to stick it out in case things got a little tough, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. I like that approach for sure. And I love your line about, you know, I've used that line so many times with people, and you're going to pay a mortgage either way, whether you're paying your own mortgage or you're paying someone else's mortgage. Why pay your landlord's mortgage? You know, you can build your own equity, build your own wealth. So definitely that was a smart move, I think, on your part, and putting that kind of time limit on it, and the constraint of making you kind of move forward. I know you had the dogs, so it was hard to find a rental, but you were able to find a short-term rental, and that worked out pretty well to give us the opportunity to, you know, take a little bit longer than just having a few days to find a house. We were able to take a few months. Would you do it that way again?
Yes, definitely. We were fortunate to find a long-term Airbnb rental. So we were able to rent it right from the start for 3 months. They were going to accept our dogs. You know, obviously there's price that comes with that when you're doing something like Airbnb, because there's all those fees and taxes that you have to pay. But for us to know that we had peace of mind, that we had a roof over our head for 3 months, we weren't going to be stuck in a long, you know, a year-long lease, and, you know, obviously like accept our dogs. That was worth it for us to pay that money. And it put pressure on us to have to execute faster. So to take the house hunt more seriously and push us to make decisions.
Yeah. So I like that. That's a great approach for sure. So ultimately you decided on St. Pete. I mean, Tampa's huge, right? I mean, it can take over an hour, you know, hour and a half to drive from like St. Pete to the North Tampa area, and there's so many different places to consider. What were some of the things that kind of attracted you to St. Pete, and why do you think you ultimately made the decision to find a home there?
Yeah, it was really difficult. And I'd say like all of our spare time outside of work was spent driving around Tampa Bay to the different neighborhoods. And then just also watching a lot of YouTube videos out there for people, folks like yourself that, represent different areas, folks that have made the move, people that are just, I'd say bloggers in the area. So we watched a ton of stuff. We really liked what was popping up for St. Pete. You were really helpful in sharing information about St. Pete, and just the more research that we did and the more time we spent in St. Pete, we really thought it was an up and coming area. It was an area that was unique. It kind of felt like old Florida, yet up and coming too. So it was like millennial haven / old Florida charm, and that was nice because one of the things we were able to pretty quickly weed out was that we didn't really want a HOA vibe community. We wanted to have some uniqueness and charm because that's what we're familiar with in New England.
Right. Well, and that's hard to find over on the Tampa side too. Most of them over there are going to be HOA. So you definitely have a lot more non-restricted communities over in Pinellas County. And I think you ended up in such a great place. Now, when we were looking, even then, the market was crazy competitive. It's gotten 10 times worse since then, if you can even believe that. But
I can.
but yeah, I mean, it was a crazy market. Inventory was really low and it was definitely challenging. But we were able to get it done. I know we had that one offer that you got accepted, and then that ended up, not working out. So there was a lot of ups and downs. And I was wondering if you could just kind of speak to that a little bit about, staying the course and not getting too discouraged in this crazy market that we're in.
Yeah, and right. So I think we were pretty fortunate overall in terms of when we finally did decide to make an offer. The first offer that we made was accepted, and we ended up backing out because of the home inspection. And then the second offer that we put in, we were close to being accepted, but we also found the house that we ended up buying around like the next day or same day. So we were actually kind of hoping that offer fell through because we found this house that we ended up buying, and it worked out really well. So I guess it's hard not to get discouraged because you're looking at so many houses, and you want to make a home happen so bad, especially when you're renting, you're far away from everything that you just want to get your own space to make it your own and feel comfortable. But I think at the end of the day, just keep working at it. Like, don't give up. Don't just know that everyone's in the same boat, and just think about how you can be creative about getting your offers accepted. And I think always just have backup plans. So if there was a house that we were looking at there, you probably remember I would be texting you or emailing you like, hey, this is the one we want to go for, but there's like 4 other houses that we could be interested in that we want to move on quickly if this doesn't work out. So, I think just having backup plans and, understand that it's tough for everybody, and your shot will come, I guess.
Right. Yeah, no, that's great advice. Definitely. It is tough for everybody out there, and it can be discouraging. So that's really encouraging to hear, your story and how that all worked. Now, the house that we did end up, getting you into and that you're so happy with, there was still a little bit of compromises that went into that, and I think every purchase in real estate, there's got to be some kind of compromise. A lot of people come into looking and they want this, and that, and, finding the house that has all that is like finding a unicorn,
Yeah.
But a lot of the things that you might not be happy with, you can always change afterwards. And you guys have made a few changes there at the house that you ended up buying. Are you happy with everything now and enjoying living in the house?
Yes. Super happy. I'm still like eagerly looking forward to redoing the kitchen at some point. But yeah, no, I feel that also we were very lucky with this house where it was very easy. So much had already been done. And so it was very easy to see that, this was a gem. And anything really was largely cosmetic, and it would just mostly be our preference. So like, there's nothing wrong with the kitchen. It's just me that, maybe I want a certain type of countertop. That's been a goal of mine forever. Maybe I want to have a certain type of color on the wall. There was nothing that I felt I really had to compromise on to buy this house. I was happy with the way that it was.
That's so good. Yeah, I know you had to do, a little bit right after with the, I think it was the plumbing that you had.
That is something we have to look at, but it's not urgent. Just,
Yeah,
some loose follow-up. It was the electrical,
the
that
electrical.
we had to
That's
look at.
right.
Yep.
That's right, that you had to do right after. And that's what I always try to, tell buyers, that even if there are a few little things that come out of the inspection that, maybe you're not happy with, unless it's something that's this huge expense,
Yep.
if the house has everything else, then don't miss out on it just over, small things like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to wrap this up. And just my final question that I'd have for you is, if there are people out there that might be watching this that are sitting in another state, maybe freezing to death while we've got 80-degree temperature, or just, not happy where they're at and thinking about moving, what advice would you give to them to get them going? And is there anything at all in the whole process that you might have done just a little bit differently?
Yeah. So all of our family and friends that are freezing back home, and every day I get yelled at because if I say I'm cold in the AC, it's not cold enough. I can't complain. So anything I would have done differently, honestly, I can't say that there is, with the exception of maybe I wish I did it sooner, and I wish that we could have traveled down more. I think that would have made it feel a little less hectic when we finally did come down. But that's not always doable, especially when you're working, you have dogs, you have bills to pay, things like that. So if anything, I would say that was the only thing I would do differently. And then in terms of advice, I would say, don't wait. Don't be afraid to do it. So many people do it all the time. We were nervous a little bit just because it's a lot, especially, I don't want to say we're young. I'd say we're young and young in our life journey, and like building, a financial future and stability and structure. But we had to sell our house to come here and leave basically everything we know. So, I really believe that we manifest our outcomes. So if you're focused on your end goals, it'll be a positive experience. Even if it's a little stressful, it's good stress. So once you take the leap, you'll probably wish that you did it sooner. So definitely just think about what your goals are and what you want to get out of life. And if you can make trips down to explore the area and convince you to do it, then that's a good idea too.
I love it. That's great. Great advice. And thank you so much, Leah. I really value your time and your input on this. I know it's going to help so many people that are out there just wondering about, this whole process. So thanks again for meeting with me. And I hope that you guys enjoy the house. I hope I get to get out there and see it soon. And we'll be in touch. Well, there you have it. That was Leah's firsthand account of how she made the big move to Tampa. You can make the big move to Tampa too. If this is something that you've been thinking about doing, then don't hesitate to reach out to me. You can give me a call, send me a text, shoot me an email, whichever method of communication you prefer is fine. When it comes to moving to Tampa, I've got your back. Do me a big favor, hit subscribe and ring the little bell so that you'll be notified every time that I release a new video. I hope that you found all of this information useful, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.